There's a reason you're doing 90 through a red light with 4 police cars behind you and an empty bag on the passenger seat. 6 weeks ago, a stranger bought you a coffee. The stranger doesn't look like anything. That's the first thing you'll get wrong about all of them. You keep expecting the movie version, and what you get is a guy in a normal jacket who buys you a coffee and asks about your car for 20 minutes before he asks about you. And even then, he doesn't ask what you'd expect. Not your record. Not how fast you are. He seems to already know how fast you are, which should bother you more than it does. He asks whether people know you. Whether you're the kind of driver who's got a reputation, a name in certain rooms, or the kind nobody could pick out of a lineup. You think it's a compliment either way. You tell him the truth, which is that you're nobody, that you've never been caught at anything because you've never been worth catching, and you watch something settle in his face like you just answered the only question on the test. He slides a number across the table. Not a business card, a number on a napkin. Memorize it, then burn it energy. You take it. It costs you nothing to take it. You spend the whole drive home thinking about how good you are, and not once about why a man who already knew that needed to ask if you were invisible. They let you pick the car, which is when you fall the rest of the way in. Any car you want, the man says, your call, you're the driver. And those 4 words, you're the driver, are going to do more work on your ego than money ever could. So you pick with your heart. You pick the one that sounds like something, the one with the stance, the one people turn around for at a light. The crew nods along, easy, agreeable, never once steering you, except that every time you drift towards something sensible, something gray and 4-door and forgettable, the room goes just slightly quiet, and you course correct back toward the loud one because you're reading the room the way you've read rooms your whole life, and you mistake their preference for your taste. You register the plates in a name that's almost yours. You wax it in a lockup that smells like other people's secrets. It is, hands down, the most beautiful machine you have ever been allowed to touch. You think they gave you the car you wanted, and it does not occur to you that they gave you the car they needed you to be seen in. Planning is where you finally feel like an artist. You get a wall and maps and weeks, and you build the escape like a piece of music. The timing of the lights, the one way you can take the wrong way at the right hour, the 4 turns that lose a helicopter. You are genuinely brilliant at this, and the crew tells you so, and the telling feels earned. But threaded through your brilliance are their notes, delivered light, always as tactics. Leave last, they say. Let the others clear out first. It's cleaner. Take the long way past the main road, they say. More eyes, sure, but more exits. And whatever happens, they say, make sure they see the car. A pursuit that commits to you is a pursuit that isn't looking anywhere else. You write it all down as strategy. You are, at this point, designing the most memorable 4 minutes of your life, and you think the point of them is getting away. Every instruction they gave you pointed at the same thing, and you filed all of them under your own genius. The day is quieter than you expected, right up until it isn't. You never go inside. That was always the deal. The driver stays with the car, and you sit at the curb with the engine breathing and your hands at 10 and 2 and a calm you're a little proud of. They come out. Someone hands a bag through the window to the seat beside you. And then the street turns into noise, and you do the thing you were built for. You leave. Beautifully. You leave so beautifully that within 90 seconds, every siren in the district is a magnet and you are the metal, and you peel 4 police cars off the world and onto your bumper exactly the way you drew it on the wall. And for 4 minutes, you are the best driver in the city, weaving a pursuit through a route only you could have built. You lose them. You actually lose them in the spot you promised yourself you would, and you sit in a dead-end lockup with your heart going and the engine ticking and the bag on the seat, and you have never felt more like the point of something. Then you open the bag. It's cut paper. Newspaper, sized and banded to feel like the thing it isn't, heavy enough to hand through a window convincingly and worth exactly nothing. And you sit there and you do the math you should have done 6 weeks ago in the coffee shop, and it comes out all at once, the way these things do. They didn't hire a driver. They hired a direction. The whole point of you, the loud car, the leave last, the make sure they see you, was to be the thing the entire city chased, while the actual money walked out a side door into something gray and 4-door and forgettable, the exact car you almost picked, the one that went quiet in the room. You weren't the getaway. You were where the attention went so the getaway could happen somewhere else, calmly, unwatched, while you painted the sky with sirens. You were, in the language of the job, the flush. And you did it perfectly. That's the part that sits down in your chest and stays. You did it perfectly. And doing it perfectly is the only reason you're not in a cell right now, because a flush that gets caught is just as useful as one that gets away. Your phone still has the number in it, and you already know that if you call it, one of 2 things happens, and only one of them involves your cut. Nobody calls. That's the answer. Delivered as no answer. A week of a phone that doesn't ring, then a month, and the slow understanding that the silence isn't a delay, it's the whole transaction closing. You are radioactive now. Your beautiful car is the most photographed object in the county, and your almost name is on it. And the crew that made you the face of a robbery has done the sensible thing and evaporated, because a face is only useful until it starts asking to be paid. And you sit with the 2 roads, honestly, both of them laid flat. You can go looking for your money, find them, lean on them, insist on being a person who mattered to this. And you understand now, with total clarity, that the men who insist on their cut are exactly the men who turn up arrested, handed over, the tidy getaway driver the story needed all along. Or you can do the other thing. You can take the one skill this taught you, not driving, disappearing, and use it on yourself. Vanish. Not tonight, not in a chase, but for good. No name, no reputation, no beautiful car, no room where anybody knows you. Give up being the best driver in the city in exchange for being nobody's evidence. And you choose the second one, with your eyes open, knowing exactly what it costs, which is everything you drove that car to feel. The best getaway of your life turns out to be the slow one, the one with no witnesses, the one nobody will ever tell as a story. So you become the car you didn't pick. You get something gray, 4-door, forgettable, a machine engineered to leave no impression on anyone, and you drive it for a living the most boring way there is. Parcels, night shifts, other people's furniture, a courier route through the parts of the city that don't have cameras because nothing there is worth filming. You are quietly still the best driver anyone on that route will never notice. You keep to the limit. You signal. You are early, always, because early is invisible and late gets remembered. Seasons go over the top of it. The van picks up a scuff you don't fix because a scuff is camouflage, and the odometer turns over a number that would have meant something to the person you used to be. And the thing that surprises you is that it's not misery. It's the first driving you've ever done that was only about the driving, with nobody in the passenger seat, nobody watching, Nobody needing you to be seen. You got good at the loud version to be admired. You got good at the quiet version because it was the only version left, and it turns out the quiet version was always the harder one. You've almost stopped checking the mirrors for a reason that isn't traffic, which is the closest thing to peace this job allows, right up until the morning at the pump. There's a kid at the gas station, 19 maybe, leaning on something loud and beautiful and freshly plated, the stance, the sound, the whole disease, and there's a man in a normal jacket in the passenger seat who does not look like anything at all. And you watch the kid's face do the thing your face did, the settling, the being chosen, the mistaking of a preference for a compliment. And you know the entire film that's about to play. Every frame of it, the coffee and the car and the wall of maps and the 4 beautiful minutes and the cut paper. You could say something. You could walk over and tell him that the loud car is the tell, that you're never so hired as when they let you pick, that the Getaway isn't the fast one. But he wouldn't hear it, because you wouldn't have, and because the man in the jacket is already watching you watch, the way they watch everything, and the safest thing a ghost can do is stay a ghost. So you finish fueling the boring van. You don't say anything. You pull out at the limit, signal on, and you let the kid keep his 4 minutes because they're the only part of this anybody ever gets to keep. You never got paid, and it took you years to understand that you did. The escape was the payment, the whole fee delivered in advance, the one thing they gave you that was real, a car fast enough to get away in, and a route only you could drive, and just enough rope to save your own life with. The men who took the money took the risk that comes with money, which is other men who want it back. You took a head start, and you were smart enough, finally, to spend it on the only thing worth buying with it. There's an empty bag somewhere in a landfill with your fingerprints on cut paper. There's a beautiful car in an evidence lot with a name on it that was almost yours. And there's you, doing the speed limit through a part of town with no cameras, checking a mirror out of a habit you'll die with, nobody behind you. Which is the whole thing you were chasing, and never once, back then, would have recognized as winning.